Hello, Leos. Welcome to your reading, and thank you for joining me today. I'm really excited for your reading. I was reflecting on how your last one was like super intense and just seemed to indicate this, well, I mean, I called it destined node point, right? Like just this like culmination energy. So I was like, well, they're probably in a whole new beginning. And then I looked at my clock because I was coming out here to set this up and get stuff ready. And it was 111, which for me is always like my catchphrase for 111 is new beginnings, which was basically the phrase I had just said in my head. So that was pretty synchronistic and interesting. And so I thought I'd share that. So yeah, I'm curious what's going to come through. And we're just going to jump in. I'm going to pull an overall energy here from the Animal Oracle deck and see what we start with. Okay. Wow. Owl spirit, you see clearly now. Okay, so that's a really big and clear message, right? I mean, what do we get on the other side of a destined node point? Is this kind of clarity where it's like we're out of the bullshit, you know? Anyway, I'm gonna set that there. It's kind of windy today, so I have rocks on all my decks. This is what was on that deck. This is actually a meteorite that I found out here in the desert one day after like this huge meteor shower. I'm sure it wasn't from the same meteor shower, but it was a synchronicity. So there that is. Outer space, little outer space energy in your reading here. Could be connected. Okay, so the first card that we get to go with this is Messenger of Fire. Okay, so big moving energy, a lot of energy. Let's see what else. You'll hear me moving all my rocks. Okay, that's quite a few. Wow. Okay. So these two came out together. They fell on the floor. So the king of water and the Five of Water, the King of Cups and the Five of Cups. Okay, so here's this, you know, the grief and the regret and the longing. Here's the mastery over that. He's the master of the emotional realm. That's how I'm reading him in this moment right now, coming out with the owl spirit. You see clearly now. Here's the muck, the emotional muck where we don't see clearly. And why? Because, you know, we're doing that work. We're doing that deep alchemical work where you're weaving together all, like what was coming up before, weaving together all the lifetimes, healing lifetimes of emotional wounding and all of it being really big because it all landed at once. Now you have mastery over this, okay? You have mastery over this situation. The cards that it came up with, so these fell on the floor, which also indicates to me like that, you know, this is kind of like a little bit less important. You know, it's a little less important. It's part of the story. But what's on the table right now that really wants to be talked about, I haven't looked at them yet. Yes, the sun, Leo, the sun. Here's you, Leo, Lion, the mane, the sun, and the Knight of Cups. Okay, so the Knight of Cups coming out with the Knight of Wands. Okay, so there's two knights, there's two messenger cards, there's two in movement cards. Okay, so I'm not really sure what this is saying yet, so I'm going to pull more cards. But the sun obviously is the illumination. You know, this is a see in the dark card. Okay, but how do we see in the dark what things are illuminated? Things are illuminated. Let's see what this is about. What is this about? What card do I want to do? I think I'm going to pull from this deck that just has one word. I just want one guiding word. Where are we going with these knights? These messengers. Are you receiving messages? Are you receiving messages from the watery realm, from the spirit realm? Uncertainty. Interesting. Okay, so we get the uncertainty card. Thicket of Thorns. Interesting. Okay, so that kind of goes with this. That kind of goes with this energy. But here we have, you see clearly now. We have the illumination. And I was asking, why do we have these? Why do we have the messenger? I'm bringing you into the mystery tour. Okay, so why are we having the messengers? The messengers for the uncertainty. Okay, all right, so there we go. You're seeing clearly now. It seems like this, you know, it is indicating that you have this emotional mastery over the situation, but it seems like, because this is coming up in relation to these messages, it seems like there's still some uncertainty, there's still some of this going on, but you have this illumination, you have this mastery, you have this ability to see through. So I'm feeling that you're receiving messages about this. Okay, that's the piercing clarity. It's coming through in the form of messages. That's what I'm feeling. Okay, I'm going to move into this deck. See what else it wants to say. Okay, we get 3 cards. This is a new deck to me, okay, and there's so much imagery in it, and it's new to me. So we get 9 of Wands and the Hierophant. Wow, Leo. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. And the High Priestess. Okay, so here you are with your clear seeing. You're seeing so clearly. Here you are, the Hierophant. And the Hierophant, I mean, in this deck, look, he's so happy. He's so happy and he's so connected. He's just like directly in line. He doesn't even need to climb up those stairs because he's one with these stairs. You know, he's he's so blissed out. He has his geometry. He has all his codes. It's like he's sitting there in his High Priestess energy. And he just, so this is kind of a collective theme that I'm seeing where, so here's the 9 of Wands. This is a card of perseverance. This is a card that's kind of indicating to me that some of this confusion and this uncertainty and this sort of like, you know, like, I don't really understand what's going on here. You know, energy is still here. It's still around. The physical appearance of it is that there's a lot that's kind of murky and, again, uncertain, unclear. There might be, it might be involving a person or a health issue or something that, you know, but again, we didn't get the Moon card. That's usually what the Moon indicates. Like, you can't see what's going on. You can. You really can. I mean, the High Priestess and the ecstatic Hierophant, like, I've never seen him like this. And the other decks that I've experienced, everything's falling on the floor. It's not the wind. It's happy. It's a happy energy, okay? So, yeah, here you are. And look, it's like the pink and the pink. It's like this pink that he is one with is the same energy that's just literally channeling in for you, creating that illumination, creating that clear seeing, creating that emotional mastery. So that's the overall message, is that even though there's still this uncertainty and there's still this kind of confusion, and that's what I was saying, this isn't like a Moon type of confusion. This confusing energy is still here, but it really doesn't matter because you're seeing clearly, and not necessarily in a linear way, because I think the fact that this is coming up with all this gorgeous clear seeing energy, but also showing this uncertainty is again on the 3D level, in the worldly level, there's not a lot of linear clarity, and yet you have this High Priestess, this higher, you know, this card for me is like the divine plan. You know, it's like this is your soul trajectory, this is your soul choice, and you're aware of it. You might not be, again, you're not necessarily, and this keeps coming up ever since that full moon. The energy's been like there's so much going on behind the scenes, and we're not really able to track it in a linear way, but we are aware of it in the sense of feeling energetically that everything's okay, or feeling energetically the knowing and even the experience of receiving these messages right when we need them. So this is the water, that's the intuitive realm. This is the fire, that's the spirit realm. And this message comes really, really fast. You know, it comes in really fast. This comes in subtle. So these messages are fast and of the spirit realm, of the psychic realm, and subtle. And that is the space that you're seeing from. Because again, this emotional mastery is also psychic mastery, energetic mastery, okay? So a lot of messages around that that clarity that you've achieved. To me, this is an achievement card, an achievement, a mastery over this kind of energy. So even though there's not, like, you're still in it, you're still moving through it, and there's not a lot of like linear answers, you have this level of mastery that's carrying you through, and it's allowing you, it's like you it seems that you know. And again, this is a collective energy that's coming through this Lionsgate portal, which we're still in until the 12th. Okay, I started feeling this energy a bit before the full moon. A lot of this kind of like, you know, at that point, it was a lot of this sort of like hidden, hello, Cactus Wrens, a lot of, you know, hidden kind of, you know, uncertain type of energy, okay? And then what kind of birthed with that full moon was collectively, I feel, was this kind of energy. So it's really, really being reflected in your reading, which is really beautiful. Just the clarity that you're having. You might be a little bit, because, you know, there's always potentials with the collective energy. Some people catch on to it later than others, but you're just so on it, Leo, okay? But it makes sense with that last reading. You went through this huge node point where you, like, cyber blasted all this past life stuff. So, of course, you're not in the moon. Of course, you're in this, okay? So you're kind of leading the way, vibrationally, holding down the fort, you know? Holding down the fort. So Leo, sun, moon, rising, you know, this applying, okay? But again, the messages coming in from those subtle realms, and knowing that that's what we're leaning into. Let me see what else it wants to say. Okay, I'm gonna do the wizard deck. And then I might do a goddess card. Okay. Okay. Wow. This is quite a few cards, like quite a few cards, but I'm going to take them. So we do get the moon card. Here's the moon. Look at the moon in that. Okay, so there's this big scary thing right here, this big freaking scary monster crab spider thing. Yeah, it's a crab. It has claws. Anyway, it's scary. And you got to pass through these pillars, and and so there's this monster, but here are these wolves. They look like wolves to me, the wolves of intuition, kind of like guiding you through, okay, guiding you through. So it's like, here's the moony energy. I was just saying it's not the moony energy, but it's not. It didn't come up first. You have this clarity, but there is a bit of that uncertainty, okay, but you know how to move through this. So let's see what else comes up. The Ace of Cups. We're going to get to that in a minute. Ace of Cups, Page of Wands, King of Wands, and Three of Pentacles. Okay, so here's your clear channel. Here's the purity. Here's what's going along with that, the High Priestess. Where were these two cards? Where the pink, okay, the pink where there's the pink again, where it's that clear channel. This is your soul path. This is like you just in union on the higher levels, like in coming out of sleep, or whenever you tune into that and you just feel like everything's right in the world. Here it is. Even when you're in this. Even when you're in this kind of energy, you still have this connection, okay? Here it is again. I always see this as a channel card, a pure channel. There's the pink right above the cup, right above, you're the cup. You're the cup. It comes right through the crown. You're knowing, okay? So that goes with that. And then we have the Page of Wands, which doesn't surprise me. Here's your new beginning. Here's your new beginning. And what this is telling me, that this is a very new energy. Okay, the 111, right? Right after this huge sort of like up leveling, this like quantum jump that it seems like you've done in the last 3 weeks. Definitely coming up in that last reading. Okay, so here's the Page of Wands and the King of Wands. So the very beginning and the very end. Okay, so this indicates that this isn't like a path where you're like, oh, you're kind of on this path and it's brand new and you're kind of an idiot and you don't know anything. No, you're a master. Here's a master of the fire. We have the master of the water, the master of the psychic realm, and the master of the spirit realm, the master of the higher frequencies, the master of that fifth dimensional access. Okay, you are in alignment with this. You do have a mastery that you've earned from this, and it's like it opened a doorway for you. It's really cool. The next card that's coming out is the Three of Pentacles. Okay, so there's the soul group, soul mission card. This is a soul contract. This is your soul group where you're all working on this together. This is coming up in the last reading too. That profound mission. I'm getting chills that you're doing here and that you're doing here with others. Okay, so again, part of the intention for this channel was to gather the soul group around in support, because we're working on big things. So I work with collective energies because that's what I'm about. I'm about the we, the us, okay? And it can get somewhat individual, but really, it's about this thing that we're landing. So thank you for being here if you are, and if you're resonating with these. So the soul mission, working on this together. Okay, so again, indicating this is a Leo energy too. This is the fire king. This is the lion in some decks. He's the lion. Okay. So anyway, so you have this. You have this. I kind of lost my train of thought because I brought in this. What was I saying? I interrupted myself. So the soul mission card, the soul group card of landing this. Okay, yes. So that's part of your soul mission, your soul contract, which means your soul has this. It has this mastery. It already has access. It already has, even before you went through that node point where you kind of like collapsed the timelines and sort of like did a lot of like cyberblast healing or cyberblast unification on all the fragmentation over your lifetimes. Okay, even though you did that, which earned you this, kind of like brought you into this clear seeing and this knowing, this is representative of who you actually are. It's like you took on a lot of karma that you had to clear in service, because you're that big. Here we go, in service. Oh, where'd it go? In service, okay, in service, because you're that big. But because you're that big, this is who you are. So, the bee, there was a bee that came up in the other reading. This is, okay. Anyway, this is who you are. So you peeled back those layers in that cyberblast cleansing where you could come back to your true self, this crown of seeing. Actually, I think the reading that my daughter did, the Leo reading, I think she said you see clearly. Did she call it that? I don't know if you watched that, but you see clearly, so don't let them, something like that. Like you were in this leadership position. Okay, so here it is again. It's like this is, so what I was trying to say with this is you're at the beginning of this new path, but this was a destined path. Okay, here it is again. The the Hierophant. This was your soul's path. Your soul contract, okay, to take all this on. And so even though you've broken on through to the other side, okay, which was indicated with that last reading, you've broken on through to the other side. The point I'm trying to make is you came in with this kind of mastery. You came in with it, okay. Your soul choice, your soul contract to bring this down, to land it. Look, he's at the bottom of the stairs. He's not at the top of the stairs. He's at the bottom of the stairs. This is where you reside. This is your inner knowing, your high priestess. You know, this is you. This is you. But you're bringing it down. You're bringing it down in service. You're bringing it down in mission. That's what we're doing. Bring these higher energies down. Okay. So this is you on the earth plane in your power. And you're at the beginning of this because we were wrapping up a lot of karma. We were wrapping up. We were healing. We were doing all that work, doing all that deep alchemy, doing all that transmutation work. But now we're on this other path. Okay. So 60 minutes. There's still more time. Let's see. I'm going to pull an angel card, I think. It's also just one word. Where do we want to go with this? What else do you want to say about this? Yes, Leo, joy. Because I was going to say we're on this new path. What is this new path? Look at this. I have chills. Look at this fiery energy, this explosion of life force, this explosion. Like you've been held in these denser patterns. You've been held, Leo. I love you, Leo. You've been held. Hello, Cactus Ren. You've been held in this darkness and fighting these spiritual battles, going into the deepest parts of your soul and finding your strength and finding your light and finding your mastery and finding your channel, but also doing this kind of like warrior work that not everybody can do, and you chose to do this. Okay, so you've been in that for a really long time. So I feel like the message here is this new path that you've broken through to is a really big contrast to this. This is one of explosive joy. Okay, so it's like you've cracked the seed. You've been in this condensed, like underground thing. Your seed has cracked, and out explodes you. Okay, so that's what we were talking about too. Out explodes you, this king on your throne, which you are, which is what your soul is, which your soul has always been, regardless of what it may have looked like down here. You chose to take that on. You chose to take that on in service. Your higher self here. It's showing it so clearly. The service you chose to take on. The muck and the monsters you chose to battle within and without and in the astral and all that. And all along, this has been you, and all along you've had that guidance. And yeah, sure, there was a time where you had to get really lost, and that didn't feel like you had any guidance. But now you do. What did we get? The night, the two nights, the two messages. You have all these. I can't find it, but you have all these messages coming in. This from the psychic realm, from the spirit realm. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to do the Wizard's deck again. The Wizard's deck. And we get the King of Pentacles. Okay, so this just goes with the joy. So I think we're kind of wrapping up right now. It's like, here's the joy. Here's the King of Pentacles, who has everything that he needs. If we have the King of Water, okay, we have the King of Water, the King of the Psychic Realm. We have the King of Wands, the King of Spirit, the King of the higher frequencies, the King of Understanding energetically, the Wizard. This is kind of like a wizard card for me, I think, which is why I was going to the Wizard's deck. This is the magical you. Okay, and then we have the King of Pentacles, who's bringing it all down, heaven on earth, planting it on the earth. Okay. How do we plant it on the earth? And this has been coming up in the readings too, because it's like this is the cutting edge message that just keeps wanting to come through, and it's relevant. It's relevant for all of us, okay? But I love it when they match my outfit. The star card matches my outfit. Okay, so the explosive joy. How do we anchor? Oh gosh, I need some rocks. How do we anchor on the physical? On the physical plane? How do we anchor the higher frequencies on the physical plane, but through joy, through living our joy? I need more rocks. I'm gonna put this in the box. Put this in here. I might wiggle by living our joy, doing what we love, our gardening or whatever it is that we love, our time in nature, our travel, or whatever it is that brings us the greatest joy is what anchors that higher energy. Because when we're in joy and we're engaging on the earth plane, then we're doing both at the same time. We're in that joy and we're doing something physical. It's how we plant it. That's how we plant it on the ground. So he builds his castle, he builds his physical realm. We're not just like meditating and like jumping out of our bodies and accessing. That was important for a while, and of course meditation is so important, centering all that. But it's not like we're astral journeying to kind of like escape reality. Again, we learn things, but now we're at the phase in evolution where it really is about embodiment. It's about bringing all that we have access down. And how do we bring it down? But by playing on the earth in our joy. Because the joy holds that high frequency, and doing something on the earth brings it down. So, even like for me, even like cleaning, like cleaning my house or like cleaning up something for my kids' houses, it's like I get really happy because then the energy changes and I make it pretty and then I get inspired and then it's creative. And it's like I'm weaving magic. I'm weaving magic into the environment. I'm weaving magic in their home. And then when I leave, it's still there. That's the magician. That's the magician. That's bringing, where'd you go? Had to cover them all up with rocks. That's bringing this magician down, bringing everything he has access to down on the earth plane and leaving his mark, planting that spirit, planting those codes that we carry through our physical actions. So, okay, I'm gonna pull one more card in closing. I don't know, I keep looking at the goddess deck and like my rational mind is like, well, that doesn't make sense. But that's the one that wants to be pulled. So we're going to end on a goddess card as a summary, and we'll see if we might end up going in a different direction. But the reading's already 21 minutes, so we'll just see what happens here. Okay, interesting. The past. So we're ending on the past. Why are we ending on the past? Why are we taking a completely different direction here? Well, I guess we're just letting go of this past. We're letting go of this past. Now I have to pull another one. I'm going to look at the one on the bottom of this first deck that we started with. The Ace of Air. Okay, yeah. So this is just another owl type of energy. It's like having that clarity on what is the past and what is this new path. What is this new path of joy and embodiment? What is the new path of joy and embodiment? And keeping our eyes focused on that, kind of just releasing this, letting this go, letting the past go. And so like this card in the guidebook, it talks about like finding the gems in the past rather than letting them haunt you and pull you back. You're not going to be pulled back. You're on this path, even though it's just a page. Like I said, it came out with your mastery and all the other cards that show that you're really in your mastery. You're really on a new level. Okay. But, in general, the past can kind of like dilute that or make things a little bit cloudy. I feel like this is just because I feel like the message, because also in the guidebook is like use the reflect on the past and find the gems and bring them forward. So I feel like that's the message. Okay, but there, and look at these, even these colors. That's that pink again. That's that pink that corresponds with your soul mission, very similar colors, where it's like embedded in your past, embedded in your battles. I can't find the cards because they're all under rocks. Here it is. I found it. Embedded in your battles with the inner monsters, the astral monsters, the entities, whatever, the false programming and the collective that took on its own AI form, all these things that you might know what I'm talking about if you're doing this kind of work, okay? And if not, then, just whatever this represents to you, relationships, karmic relationships, narcissistic partners, sticky parents, whatever it is, okay? So, but shit, what was my train of thought? Oh, okay, the past. Within these trials and initiations that you've gone through are jewels that are connected to your spirit. This is a beautiful message to end on. I'm glad that I pulled a couple more. Okay. Connected to your spirit, connected to your Akash, connected to what you've earned over your lifetime. So as before we were talking about the pain and kind of like in the last reading, I know a lot of you probably haven't seen it, but still you could go listen to it, but I'll try to recap. It's like all of the different kind of like traumas that there are threads throughout all the lifetimes. There are also gems and like things that you've achieved through those lifetimes. So I feel like this is just indicating indicating that, like, the past is important in the sense that it has activated these codes. And I feel like it's highlighting that part of this new path also is gaining access to these, gaining access to these things, these badges that you've earned through your past trials in this lifetime and others, okay? And having that relate to, again, yeah, here she is, the High Priestess. Again, the color codes here, with this being your higher access. Find the higher access in your past as you walk this new journey, and that also being connected, okay, it's coming together, connected with these messages that are coming through, messages of how this all fits together, where it's no longer this sort of like energy of fragmentation. This is an energy of fragmentation. This is an energy of pain and regret and confusion and all that, okay? It's all coming into wholeness. It's coming into this wholeness of this gorgeous, unity consciousness. I think of this magenta as like a unity consciousness type of color. Yeah, it's like the end of the rainbow, right? The magenta. The magenta is the end of the rainbow, where everything is one. And so here we are. Everything's coming back into wholeness. All of the experiences, all of the things, the jewels and gems that you've accessed, coming back into wholeness, that you have access to in service to this new path, and part of this new path where you get to just live, enjoy, and anchor these codes. And what are the codes that you're anchoring? They're codes of wholeness. They're codes of wholeness and mastery. Mastery that we've seen in three different kings: King of Water, King of Fire, and King of Earth. Okay, so Leo, beautiful message. Thank you for listening, and I hope that resonated. And I love to hear if it does. I love to hear. It helps me to know that it lands somewhere. So thank you for your past comments and for any future comments. And I love hearing them. And yeah, I'll see you next time if I do. Okay, take care. Bye.